Saudi Arabia is up to something big.
Saudi Arabia's PIF Sovereign Wealth Fund has invested 11,367 crore rupees for a 2.32% stake in Jio Platforms.
Saudi Arabia's Sovereign Wealth Fund, the Public Investment Fund, has acquired a 40% stake in the luxury department store Selfridges.
Saudi Arabia is likely set to take majority control of London's Heathrow Airport eventually. The reason being,
The investment is far and wide across the sectors. Look at these names, which have Uber, Lucid Motors, SoftBank Vision Fund, Electronics Arts, and others. These are the companies where PIF made significant investments. If you talk about minor investments, the list is longer. Just take a look at this list. It looks like the fund is out there to have a pie in every company of the world. Currently, the PIF's international investment accounts for around 30%, which is around $270 billion of the $930 billion fund. But what exactly is the PIF and how is it shaping Saudi Arabia's future? Let's break it down.
نعتمد بحول الله اليوم استراتيجية صندوق الاستثمارات العامة ب 2021 إلى
The Public Investment Fund is Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund. Think of it as the country's financial powerhouse, managing a staggering $900 billion in assets. It was set up in 1971 to invest in projects that benefit Saudi Arabia's economy. But in recent years, it has transformed into something much bigger. Today, it's part of Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's ambitious vision to diversify the economy beyond oil. That's Vision 2030. The goal? Use Saudi's massive oil wealth to invest in industries like technology, tourism, and even sports.
To try and retake the place that he lost from Piastri.
In other words, turn the country into a global investment hub. This whole new transformation is not just a fad that Saudi is trying to ape the world. Saudi Arabia is facing a triple challenge: falling oil prices, a rapidly growing population, and rising unemployment. First, let's talk oil. Back in 1938, Saudi Arabia struck oil, literally. Since then, this so-called black gold has shaped the kingdom's destiny. Today, Saudi Arabia holds about 18% of the world's proven petroleum reserves. That's more than any other country. Oil and gas aren't just big business here. They are the backbone of the economy. We are talking half of the GDP and a staggering 70% of export earnings. That's 70 cents of every dollar this wealthy nation makes, all thanks to oil. Over the years, oil sales have accounted for an average of 80% of Saudi Arabia's government revenue. But here is where it gets wild. Between 2010 and 2014, that number shot up to an incredible 90%. Almost every riyal flowing into government coffers during the time came from oil. It's a level of reliance that makes any dip in oil prices not just a concern but an existential threat to the economy. Relying so heavily on a single source of revenue isn't just risky for a company, it's even more precarious for an entire country. This is especially true when that source is a commodity as volatile as oil. It is the decline in the price of oil since 2014 which has created a big economic headache for the Saudis in the last 10 years. For example, in 2014, oil was trading at over $100 per barrel. By 2020, it had plummeted to just $20 per barrel at one point during the pandemic. This decline in their most valuable export is largely to blame for the kingdom's burgeoning debt to GDP ratio, which reached to 28% in 2021, according to the IMF. That kind of uncertainty is a wake-up call. Now pair this with a booming population. Saudi Arabia's population is growing at about 2% annually and nearly 70% of it is under 35. There's a lot of young people entering the job market every year. And here is the problem. The employment to population ratio rose Q1 2024. That's a staggering number for any economy, let alone one so reliant on a single industry. So the PIF is not just about making money. It's about creating jobs, building industries, and ensuring that Saudi Arabia's future isn't tied to the price of a barrel of oil. But not everyone is a fan of the PIF's strategies. Critics argue that these investments are part of an image overhaul, what some call sports washing or greenwashing.
So, Vlad, it's a term that human rights organizations like Amnesty International have used to coin when a regime, in this case the Saudi regime or the Saudi government, is using sports in order to whitewash, as it were, some of its dubious human rights records, and trying to do that by getting involved and integrated in sports, international sports. And that has happened here already. It happened a few years ago with the football team or the soccer team.
For example, buying Newcastle United or inducting Ronaldo, Benzema and other international football stars was seen by some as a way to distract from Saudi Arabia's controversial human rights record. And while projects like NEOM sound exciting, skeptics question whether they are realistic or just PR stunts. One thing is clear, the Public Investment Fund is bold, ambitious and shaking things up, not just in Saudi Arabia but globally. Whether you see it as a visionary plan or a risky gamble, it's a story worth following.